Let's bring in nationally syndicated radio talk show host and MSNBC contributor Michael Smerconish. Also again with us, nationally syndicated radio talk show host Steve Deace, who has endorsed, and I don't know if that's still the case, Newt Gingrich. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you explain that later. Michael, quickly, I want to get your thoughts on this panel, this House Hearing Oversight Committee on the contraceptive coverage. And no female witnesses being called in that first panel. There were witnesses set, female witnesses, for the second half, but none in that first panel. What do you make of this?
I think both stories are related. I think Luke Russert's report and that which you just showed, the film clip, is related insofar as social issues are back. You know, Tamron, we had a cycle in 2010 that was devoid of any conversation about social issues. It was all about the Tea Party. It was all about the debt. It was all about the economy. That's unusual, and I think we're now setting the stage for 2012 where it'll be a combination of both. It's going to invigorate the GOP base. Again, the question becomes, how does it play with independents in the fall? And
that is the question, Steve. Many people are asking beyond Michigan if Rick Santorum, for example, were to secure the nomination over Mitt Romney. We know that his thoughts on contraception and his stance on social issues, if people did not know prior to, I guess, the last couple of weeks, there have been a fair share of reports on things that he said that might certainly frighten independent voters. And now you have hearings like this. You have the week before with the church leaders against the president. What do you make of the dialogue, as Michael said, that the social issue is back? I guess because some say the economy is doing a lot better, so this is where you go.
Well, I don't think in the Republican Party social issues, at least for conservatives, ever go away. And as to, I was listening to the report you guys just did, and listen, never ceases to amaze me how the leadership of the Republican Party could screw up a one-car accident. I mean, this just should never happen. I mean, what ought to happen is your first witness at this hearing today ought to be a Wendy Wright at Concerned Women for America, a Michelle Malkin, and obviously a conservative, articulate woman, just so you don't walk into the trap here set by the Democrats and those in the media that are friendly to their persuasion. And the Republicans have nobody to blame for that but themselves.
Who set the trap?
Well, because they allowed, well, the trap was set, but well, the Republicans set the trap on themselves. Okay. That's what I'm saying, Tamron. They allowed the subject to be changed from where it was when they were winning this issue last week and got the perceived back down from the president, whether that's actually what it was or not. And the Republicans over and over again, the leadership of the Republican Party, they just find ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
All right, and speaking of snatching defeats, it looks like Rick Santorum may do that in a couple of weeks. Steve, are you still backing Newt Gingrich? He was at the zoo the other day and not campaigning. What's your take on what's going on in his life?
Well, I think what's going on with Newt, and absolutely, I'm still supporting Newt Gingrich. I still think he has shown, from a conservative perspective, the most leadership on the issues. I think what we're witnessing now is there's a transition in this race, that this race for most conservatives all along has been about who can save us and deliver us from Mitt Romney as a standard bearer. And when it looked like Newt had that momentum going into and out of South Carolina, he was that champion. He lost that momentum in Florida. And now, to borrow a phrase from the NCAA tournament, this is Rick Santorum's one shining moment. He gets this chance now in Michigan. If he beats Mitt Romney in Michigan, I believe he will be the Republican nominee for president.
Wow.
If he doesn't beat Mitt Romney in Michigan, he will probably fade back into obscurity as the race moves south for Super Tuesday, and you will see yet again another Newt Gingrich reemergence.
So, Michael, I'll let you respond to what Steve is predicting there. You agree with him?
I agree with the latter part of his analysis. I do, that this is a big contest coming up. I think I would just expand it by saying that for the reasons that he's running so well right now, Santorum, he cannot be elected in a general election. That which plays so well, the social issues that we've just mentioned that play so well to the base, the positions that he stakes out, I think, are what put him in peril in a general election against Barack Obama.
It would be an incredibly stark contrast, to say the least. I want to play a little bit of what Rick Santorum said in an interview on CNN. They were talking about social issues. I believe the person who interviewed him even went to break asking the question of, does he have something against women? I'm paraphrasing, but nevertheless, here's the answer.
I'm a Catholic. I subscribe to the teachings of the church, and that is that's my personal view. It's the view of my wife, and you know, I think everybody's entitled to their religious beliefs. If you look at my voting record, I have a voting record that supports, that is voted for funding for contraception, both domestically as well as internationally, and I would not support any law that would put any restrictions on that.
So, Steve, how does that play with conservatives, social conservatives?
Well, I think if he's going to surrender the premise of his own argument, as he does in that clip, he's not going to survive defending his own worldview over the long haul. But ultimately, the general election, I want to go back to what Michael just said, if I could.
Yeah.
This is going to be a referendum on Barack Obama, period. If the economy looks like it's turning around and gas is at $2.50 or less a gallon, man, the Republicans could dig up the bones of Ronald Reagan and put him on the ballot, they're going to lose. If gas is $4 a gallon and unemployment's at 8.5%, 9%, it doesn't matter what Barack Obama says, what he offers, who the Republicans nominate, he's going to lose.
Right.
That's traditionally been the case in American presidential elections. They are referendums on the incumbent, and the incumbent is always given a referendum on the economy.
And Michael, I just want to transition back to Mitt Romney and his latest strategy in Michigan, according to First Read and according to his own words, is really going after the unions. He tries to separate the rank and file, if you will, against the union leaderships in the very state where he did not back the auto bailout. He's even tried to massage that language, but he's on tape and his words are clear. What do you make? How did he get in this situation in his home state? One of three, but you can only be born one place, so we'll say this is his real home state. How did he get in this hot mess?
People have taken a long, hard look, and the base is uncomfortable and has always been uncomfortable. I mean, despite the length of time that he's been running, the amount of resources that he's committed to the race, and all the arguments that he's tried to make about him being a very severe governor when he was in Massachusetts, the hardcore constituency of the GOP, they're just not buying it. I mean, he's really at that 25 to 35% baseline, and nothing seems to have given those numbers a rise.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. And just quickly, a programming note. I'm being told in about 15 minutes or so, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton will talk with us. She is one of the Democrats who walked out of that hearing. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Michael.